Alright, hello everybody, this is Brics part 41, and the following media and research is for research purposes. Alright, so let's get into Brics part 41, where we left off the last time. Alright, wait. Alright. So right here we were under guiding principles, so under this, I'll leave the link to this PDF if you want to read it by yourself. So these are the guiding principles to inform global regulatory approaches for a quantum secure transition. So we're going over this because this will show you probably some of the clues of what's going on and maybe how quick this will take. Okay, I'm reading. Okay, so there's four guiding principles to create the conditions for collaboration. These principles provide initial guidance for organizations and regulators by serving a foundation to inform global regulatory and industry approaches towards a quantum secure financial sector. Okay, so we got reuse and repurpose. Don't reinvent the wheel, rather make the best use of existing regulatory frameworks. To address quantum-enabled cybersecurity risk, establish non-negotiables. Ensure a standard approach to mitigating the quantum-enabled cybersecurity threat for defining cybersecurity requirements. Increase transparency. And it seems like just within industries. Avoid fragmentation. Think global to avoid potential for regulatory fragmentation across the markets and to ensure harmonized approaches to regulation worldwide. So let's take a deeper look at some of these. Alright, so reuse and repurpose. Let's look. Okay, it advocates for identifying successful strategies elsewhere and applying them to cryptographic governance. So it's talking about just the best tools, but regulators should establish clarity by providing guidance on the application and scope of current regulatory frameworks to cryptographic management across the financial sector. Okay, well, let's look at establish non-negotiables. Okay, this principle calls for the definition of overarching requirements shared by industry and regulatory authorities to address quantum security issues. Reading. Okay. The requirement should follow the best practices encompassing emerging international standard and agile approach to cryptography and risk awareness in an evolving landscape. Okay, let's go with increased transparency. This principle urges industry players and regulators to exchange information on their strategies, best practices, and approaches as much as possible. So when they're talking about increasing transparency, they're not talking about telling you guys. This has to do with top players. Transparency establishes a level playing field. security is recognized in a non-profit generating activity and systematic strategic objective that ultimately contributes to financial stability. Avoid fragmentation. Okay, this principle calls for a global approach centered on collaboration to avoid regulatory fragmentation across different markets. Fragmentation creates challenges for global entities operating in multiple jurisdictions, adding layers of complexity and compliance. Okay, so quantum-enabled cybersecurity risks require a globally coordinated, agile approach to regulation and industry action that encompasses both mature and emerging markets and is adaptive to the evolving risk landscape. Yeah, I don't like it when they keep talking globally. It makes it seem like I'm in favor of a one world organization, but I'm cautious about who controls that. That's really the main thing. And humanity needs to jump up consciously. Okay, so let's go to number 3. Industry regulator, journey to a quantum secure economy. The migration to quantum safe systems is an unprecedented task for all. So it is important for the community to take a holistic approach and consider multiple quantum safe solutions to achieve defense in depth. Charles Lim, Global Head, Quantum Communications and Cryptography for J.P. Morgan Chase and Company. Interesting. Okay, so it's talking about, let's see here, a quantum secure economy is just not a technological shift, but a comprehensive transformation of the financial sector's approach to stakeholder collaboration, cryptographic management, and cyber security. So, who are the stakeholders? Reading. Okay. So, quantum computing development is set to accelerate over the next decade and will trigger significant change in the cyber threat landscape. Acting in anticipation can improve policy effectiveness and is of utmost relevance to provide an inclusive transition path accounting for the different economic burden on different countries. Okay, the roadmap is a tool to guide the transition required to maintain security, integrity, and consumer trust in the global financial sector. Okay, but they aren't telling the people, and that's a danger. Where are we at? Okay. So, I'm reading, I may not point out any of these, I'm looking for, so far, I mean, the thing I'm not liking so far is that it's not really diving too deep. It hints at stuff, but it doesn't go into much of an explanation. Okay, so I'm reading again. Okay. So it's important to raise awareness among firms by providing an overview of how developments in quantum computing may impact business models and processes, including impl- impl- im- im- implications for related regulatory considerations. Okay, raise awareness. Organizations across the financial sector should consider tailored education programs to raise awareness among stakeholders. Once again, who are the stakeholders? At all levels of their organization. Okay, so we're talking about the stakeholders of organizations, still important people. To demystify quantum computing and demonstrate how it could impact daily business operations. Okay, regulators should also focus on sharing knowledge between jurisdictions at this early stage to ensure a level of global awareness and quantum-enabled cyber risks. Understanding the point of departure. Transitioning to a quantum secure systems is a long-term strategic operation. Both industry and regulatory authorities must critically examine their current states of quantum readiness to inform their approach to transitioning. I'm reading. Identifying the most vulnerable aspects of their digital and data infrastructure systems and prioritizing parts of their organization that handle sensitive data are integral in operational stability, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it is also important to engage ecosystem partners at this stage, including technology providers and the supply chain that supports the industry. Okay. Okay, the financial sector organizations should build internal capabilities and upskill workforces to transition to quantum secure systems and prepare for a quantum enabled economy. Okay. Phase 2, clarify. Let's see if there's anything important in this section. Okay. Okay, this involves promoting unified messaging systems across industry stakeholders, governments, and national security agencies and regulators. And these stakeholders should seek to establish cybersecurity as the collective responsibility of the sector, focusing on its non-profit making nature and its collective benefits for the stability and integrity of global financial markets. Industry may wish to take the lead in establishing formal working groups to share insights and building partnerships toward transitioning. Identifying an industry organization with wide support to lead these working groups is key. Okay. I think now this makes sense. Regulators and other government stakeholders should ensure that international forums discuss the transition to quantum security and that countries align on a cohesive agenda for quantum security. Okay, so, okay, I think this clarifies something where it says, and other government stakeholders. So, I bet they meant to leave government out because I think now we can clarify that the stakeholders are the government. Okay. That's kind of scary. Um, we're gonna read through these two and I'm gonna stop there. And tomorrow we're gonna pick up, or next Monday we'll pick up on phase 3. Okay, so map of current regulations. Okay, let's read. Okay, so they don't know what existing frameworks of regulatory are adequate for regulating quantum computers. And so they're asking for collaboration on this and mapping exercises that apply to the global lens and show similarities and differences across jurisdictions. Understanding the transition. To successfully navigate the transition to quantum security, financial sectors organizations need robust evidence of the cost of transitioning and a comprehensive overview of underlying complexities. Okay, so there's government stakeholders and industry stakeholders. Okay, so we're not talking about stock market stakeholders is the way how I'm seeing it. I mean, eventually they're going to come in the know when they kind of make their report and stuff like that, but I don't know how serious they're... Besides the people on the top, I don't know how serious everybody else is taking this, and they should take it pretty damn serious. Because they have a pretty fucking elaborate plan here. Industry stakeholders should simultaneously open discussions with their cybersecurity supply chain partners and critical third parties to gather insights on their approach, develop timelines and adoption plans for quantum secure systems. They should also consider bringing together vendors and industry stakeholders in collaborative workshops, sandboxes, or hackathon-style events to develop a common set of priorities and early action plans. They're going to do a cost-benefit analysis on different approaches to quantum risk to understand the financial impact on the markets and the potential regulatory burden. Okay. Alrighty. I think... So basically, what we just talked about was organizing a lot of stuff. So, hold on. We know we're on phase 3. When was this? When did this come out again? January of 2024. Okay. So this is going to take some time. I don't see this happening fast. I mean, they might have the answers they want for 5 years, but that might be just the beginning. I think I think 2035 is okay. So it seems like we're going to see little changes into this quantum security, quantum financial, quantum economy, um, and we won't see the full thing, I think, for about 10 years, but we're going to see little changes going up there. Right now, we're in the global reset stage. That's what the tariffs are and what Trump is doing. It's a global reset. And that, even though it's kind of been happening, let's just say in Canada and other places, because you can tell from the, like the way how high prices are, it's been happening, but now it's hit the United States. The global reset hit the United States. And so the United States is going to go through a little bit of trouble, like 2 years worth of negative GDP growth, and then the United States is going to bounce back. The United States is the future, but I think we as a people need to start having a discussion about this because obviously they are not including us in this discussion. And that's why people need to know about this. Alright, so, let my Brics videos, share them, let people know what's going on, because we need to talk about this, because they're leaving us out of the conversation. They just care about government stakeholders, industry stakeholders, regulatories, the regulators, and when they're talking about vendors and third parties and all this other stuff, they're not the ones that have any process in controlling this process. They're just using them to understand where errors might occur. As you could say, the quantum security trickles down into other places. But we, the people of the world, need to talk about this because they're talking about this globally. Okay? So we need to start having this conversation because this thing should be up and running up until World War III. And maybe that's what the global depression and World War III are going to be basically about, is distracting us while they create this infrastructure without our permission. So we need to start paying very, very close attention to what they're doing behind the scenes because they ain't including us in the conversation. And we need to be stakeholders in this conversation because we're the ones that are going to be affected the most. These people at the top are going to stay at the top, or they're trying to stay at the top, and that's why they're, doing all this talking. So the next time will be right here, phase 3. Let's see what clues we're looking for, clues that we can find on especially on how to get into this conversation. All right, so I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm gonna let you all go, and I will see you guys next Monday, where we'll dig into this World Economic Forum paper a little bit more. Alright, peace out. And hello, ladies and gents, jesters, aliens, and extra-dimensional beings. This has been a Brics Part 41 production. A quantum future, era, quantum security, blah blah blah. Maybe I'll be a quantum jester. Alright, so anyways, that's been it. And we should be a part of the quantum future discussion too, and we need to make that a priority. But until then, I will see you next Monday.